Hey YouTube. So what you can see here is I've already primered this. Now what I primered this with is called etching primer. Now let me just say this to you so you know this. The stuff that I'm using to fix this truck here is a cheap version of things. So even though I'm using like Rust-Oleum etching primer, and you can buy etching primer for a lot more money. I'm using this. I think I showed you this before. You can buy etching primer for a lot more money, and etching primer was made to actually be used on metal, you know, not over top of plastic exactly, but this Rust-Oleum stuff, I've used it on all kinds of little repairs, and it seems to work really nice. What I'm trying to say here though is you can buy other products that are much more expensive that do maybe a slightly better job, but from what I've seen with this etching primer, it works fine for me. I don't have any problems with it. It doesn't come off. It's not affected by water. So that's why I'm using it to prime. Now priming this greenish color under white may not be the best idea. And you know, I've seen guys talk, other professional guys will say, well, you know, you should use a light gray underneath white. I've had guys tell me red under white is the best so you can see the color difference when you're spraying. So from those words, you're going to have to assume that it's your personal choice. What I want you to see here is, now I got this etching primer on here. I'm using 180 grit paper, and this is very fine coming off of here. Now I've got a really nice sort of slick finish. It's not shiny, but it's, you know, it's slick to the touch. So what I need to do is just smooth this off now with this. Now you can see at the top the paint's a little thin right in there, but that's okay. That's not going to hurt anything. So you can see that there's no paint really showing up in the body of the panel as I'm working it. A little bit here, a little bit there. Not necessarily a high spot, although it is slightly high. I mean, obviously if you're down to the putty here and you're not here, you know, you do have a little bit of divot there, and you can work that out if you want to. I wouldn't go too crazy over this. I mean, if you're trying to be a perfectionist with the handy dandy tools that I've been showing on this video, then be my guest. Sand as much as you want. You know, you can get it as smooth as you want. But if you're just trying to get something that looks fairly good, and somebody would have to look twice to know that it's not the actual body, which is what I'm trying to achieve, that's all you need to do. So now I've gotten that far. Now I would blow this off with air. I just don't want my compressor to start up. I've gotten that far. It's really nice smooth finish. Like I say, there are a couple little dings and stuff in here that need to be filled in. What I would use for that is this Evercoat Easy Sand. Okay, what this is it's a very fine body putty, and it somehow doesn't allow bubbles to form in it, although I haven't really had any problems with the Dynalite that I use. I actually like that Dynalite, and it's like 20 bucks a gallon, so it's a lot better than the $80 gallon of that Evercoat sells. But that's what I use for the finish. So I'm going to sand this down, and then I'm going to mix some of this stuff, and I'm going to finish. I'm going to put a coat all over the entire fender here, the panel I mean, and I'm going to get myself a nice finish going on there that I can paint. That's what I'm after. Now this curvature over here, all I'm doing is rubbing very lightly, so I am going to use my fingers. I'm not pushing hard enough to get any real grooves in it, although, you know, depending on who you talk to, this is a no-no. But you know what? This is what's happening. It's hard to get behind that fender there, or I mean the bumper. But I'm not taking this bumper off of here. For one thing, half the bolts are rusted to the point where if you start fooling with them, you end up breaking them. And this guy doesn't want to pay for more bolts, and I don't want to have to put up with the agony of trying to get them bolts out of there. So it's coming out good. I mean, for the money that I spent or that he's spending, probably, I would say that with the metal and the body putty and the primers and stuff, you're probably looking at around $500 that I've spent so far to get this looking this way. And really, if you were to take it to a body shop, you would spend a lot more money than that because of their overhead and stuff. I don't have that overhead. I own everything that's here, and I don't have to worry about, you know, making a payroll, which I had to do for 20 or 30 years before. So it's sort of a pleasure for me to be able to do this and not worry about, oh, you know, what's going to happen. So anyway, yeah, that's looking good. You can tell by just the sound of the paper alone how nice. Yep, looking nice. Up at the top here where that curve is, I'll just put a little fold or a little bend in this. I think I showed, I don't know if I showed the tool I have for that. Let me see if I can find it here quick. Yeah, I have a piece of steel pipe. This piece of steel pipe, I'm not even sure where I got this, but it has the exact shape and radius that I needed for in here. So that fit in there really nice to form that curve. And you can use anything you want, you know, whatever works, use. But to finish this off, I'll just take the sandpaper, curl it like that, and just run through there a little bit, making sure that the paint where it hits the white is tapered. And if you notice, I stopped the paint just below the curve because I am not going to paint that upper panel. I'm only painting the lower panel. So, like, there's a little body putty and some overspray on that, which I can take off with some real light sandpaper or even some polishing compound. So I'm not worried about that. It'll look good when I'm all done. So that curve came out nice where I brought that together. And I don't know if you remember, but I made the whole panel, and this by hand, and this piece up in here is all welded through here. Alright, and you don't see any of that stuff. There's no signs of that. The other nice thing about this truck is that there's a plastic panel that covers almost all of this. So you don't have to be real fussy about the edges here, and I haven't been. My turn, the radius that I have on my turn here, is not as hard as the original radius. But alright, so I've got to get myself some putty. Since I just scuffed that off, I need a little bit more putty on here, back in here, a couple places to finish getting this the way I want it. And then I'm going to call it quits for this as far as the actual body work goes. A little bit of tape on there. And then I'm going to be able to spray this here with some more primer. I'll put another coat of this primer on. Then I'll sand that down with either this 180 or 220, and then I'll go ahead and put a base coat of white on here, and then I'll put some the finish on it, the shiny clear stuff, the clear coat. So that's what I've done so far, guys, and you can do the same thing. You know, as far as making these panels go, I'm not going to say that this is not a little bit of a difficult panel to make, because it is. Trying to curve these two curves, you got to know what you're doing. That's why I'm making these videos, so other people can realize it's not a big deal. You know, all of my life, ever since I've been a little kid, I've seen people do things, and my saying to keep me going in life is that if somebody else, if one other man can do it, I can do it also. So I don't let nothing hold me back. I try everything. So hopefully you'll do the same thing and save yourself some bucks. Okay? So there's we are so far. The rest of the truck, I didn't spend as much time on the rest here, although this panel here, now there's some runs on here, but that was from water from the little bit of rain we've had. But I can, and because this is a pretty curvy panel here, now that door's going to come out a little bit more when you put the weather stripping on it. It's in a little bit. But again, what you don't realize about cars is that they have a tendency to bend, twist, and warp after you've driven them for a long time. So there's 200,000 miles on this truck, which the truck is still in good shape, but it's worth fixing. But anyway, yeah, that panel, what I was really happy with the way this panel was, because not only do I have a bend here, a bend here, a bend there, but I also at the bottom down in here I've had 1, 2, 3, 4 different bends, and this is one panel from here all the way down to the bottom of the rocker, which I think came out really nice. And I would advise, you know, you guys that are doing this to try to make those whole panels. Get an idea for what's going on. Watch some of my videos. I know they're not, you know, the greatest as far as the work goes, and I try to make 5-minute videos because I don't have time to really cater to the camera, and I know you guys probably don't have time to sit and watch everything. But so that's actually a nice surface there. Whatever's going on in here is going to be hid by the plastic. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to finish sanding the bottom here. That little bit of rocker needs to be scuffed over, and I'll check it out for any pits or whatever, and then I'm going to paint it. And then it should be in good shape. Okay guys, so that's probably going to be the end of the videos on this particular truck. Although I'm not sure yet, because he wants something else done to it. I gotta look at the list. But I'll show it to you as I paint, I guess. Maybe I should do that so I don't miss anything here. Miss showing it. But anyway, have a good one. It's a nice day in Pennsylvania today. The temperature's around 55 or 60. No rain. Alright guys, bye.